My sister got pregnant for my husband because I was barren. But the truth is, it didn't start with pregnancy. I didn't lose my marriage in one day. I lost it in small, quiet betrayal from my stepmother until my sister's pregnancy test ended everything. My name is Ifeoma, and it all started when I was 5 years old. That was the age I lost my mother. I remember her burial more than her voice. I remember the women crying, the smell of dust and incense, and how my father stood like a man who had forgotten how to breathe. After that day, our house changed. Not suddenly, slowly, quietly. 2 years later, my father married Madam Agnes. She came into our home with calm words and a polite smile. People said she was kind. They said she would take care of me like her own child. I believed them because I was still young enough to believe adults. Not long after the wedding, she gave birth to a daughter. Her name was Amaka. That was when the lines were drawn. Amaka slept on the bed. I slept on the floor. There was only one mattress in the room. Madam Agnes said Amaka was still small and needed comfort. I was strong enough. At night, I lay on a thin mat beside the bed, listening to Amaka breathe softly, while the cold from the cement floor entered my bones. When rain fell and water crept under the door, my mat soaked first. At the dining table, Amaka was served before me. Bigger portions, more meat. If food finished early, Madam Agnes would look at me and say, "You should learn endurance. Life is not easy." When school fees came, Amaka went to a private school. New uniforms, new shoes. I went to a government school with torn socks and books held together with tape. Once, when my fees were late, Madam Agnes said, "Why waste money on her? She will still marry and leave." My father heard. He said nothing. That silence followed me everywhere. So I learned to survive quietly. I read whenever I could, borrowed textbooks, studied under lantern light. Education became the only thing that felt truly mine, something no one could take away or give to Amaka instead. University was my first taste of freedom. For the first time, I slept on a bed, ate when I was hungry, walked without fear of being shouted at. I studied hard and graduated well. People began to see me as intelligent, composed, and disciplined. That was where I met Obi. He noticed me first. I was not loud. I didn't dress to attract attention, but he said my calmness pulled him in. He would sit near me during lectures, walk with me after class, and carry my books even when I refused. At first, I kept my distance. I didn't trust love easily. I had grown up learning that affection always came with conditions, but Obi was patient. He followed me for months, checked on me, encouraged me, listened when I spoke about my childhood, about sleeping on the floor while Amaka slept on the bed. When I finished, he said quietly, "No child deserves that." When I pushed him away, he didn't leave. When I said I wasn't ready, he waited. People laughed and said, "Obi, this girl is too hard." He would smile and reply, "She is worth it." It took him a long time to convince me to marry him. But when I finally said yes, I cried, not because of the ring, but because someone had chosen me fully. We married with hope. The early years were gentle. We laughed, we planned. We talked about children like they were already on their way. But months passed, then years, no pregnancy. By the 5th year, pressure began. Advice came from everywhere. Prayer houses, herbal mixtures. And then Madam Agnes returned. She visited often, sat in my living room like it belonged to her. She sighed loudly and said things like, "A woman's crown is her womb." And she brought Amaka along. Amaka was grown now, beautiful, confident, always smiling. Madam Agnes praised her endlessly, her body, her glow, her fruitfulness. Sometimes I noticed Obi looking at Amaka just a second too long. I told myself it meant nothing. After all, Obi had waited 10 years already. What I didn't know was this. While I was praying for a child, Madam Agnes was planning a replacement. And the woman who made me sleep on the floor as a child was preparing to take everything from me as an adult. Because in her eyes, I was never meant to win. Not then, not now. And this time, she wasn't planning to lose. I used to think the hardest thing in my life was losing my mother at 5. I was wrong. The hardest thing was watching people slowly decide that I didn't deserve to be a wife. By year 7 of my marriage, the whispers grew teeth. At first, it was gentle advice. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's spiritual. Maybe try another hospital. Then it became blame. Some women in church stopped hugging me properly. They hugged me like pity was part of the prayer. Sometimes they would hold my hand and say, "God will do it, just be patient." But they wouldn't say it when their husbands were around. They didn't want bad luck to touch them. Obi tried at first. He truly did. He would tell me, "Ifeoma, don't listen to them." He would buy me small gifts, perfume, sandals, food on the way home, like he was trying to protect our joy. But after a while, his protection started looking like tiredness. He stopped talking about names for future children. He stopped making jokes about our baby loading. He stopped touching me the way he used to. And my biggest fear began to happen. The silence started growing in our house. Then, Madam Agnes came back into my life like a storm that knows your roof is weak. She began to visit almost every weekend. She would enter my living room and sit down like a queen returning to her throne. She didn't ask how I was. She asked questions like an investigator. How many times have you gone to hospital? Have you tried that herbal woman in Owerri? Is Obi still strong? Is your womb blocked? Sometimes she would sigh and say, this thing is not good, oh. And then she would do something worse. She would call Amaka. "Come and greet your sister," she would say, loud enough for Obi to hear. Amaka always arrived looking like a complete different life. Smooth skin, soft hair, clean nails, confidence, and perfume that filled the whole room before her body even entered. She would hug me and call me sis in a sweet voice, but her eyes always looked like they were measuring what was mine. One day, I went into the kitchen to get drinks, and I heard Obi talking to Madam Agnes in the living room. At first, it was low. Then it became clearer. "My son," she said, "you have tried. 10 years is not beans." Obi didn't answer. Madam Agnes continued, "A man must have a child. That's your legacy. That's your name. You cannot waste your life." My hands froze on the tray. Then she said something that made my stomach turn cold. "Some women don't have womb. They only have beauty and book. Ifeoma is fine, yes, but beauty cannot carry lineage." I stood there like I had been slapped. Obi finally spoke. "Mommy, please." But Madam Agnes didn't stop. She never stops when she smells weakness. She said, "If you don't act now, you will regret it later. And it doesn't have to be disgrace. It can be arranged." Arranged. That word stayed in my ear like a fly. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay beside Obi listening to his breathing. He was close, but he felt far. In the morning, I asked him carefully, "Did your mother say something to you yesterday?" He didn't look at me. He just said, "She talks too much." But his voice didn't sound like a man dismissing nonsense. It sounded like a man fighting thoughts. After that, things changed fast. Obi started working late more often. At first, it was once a week, then twice. Then it became normal. He would come home with excuses that didn't match his eyes. Sometimes he would return and head straight to the bathroom, like he needed to wash something off his body. Sometimes he would eat without talking. Sometimes he would scroll his phone and smile at messages he refused to explain. And every time I asked, he would say, "Ifeoma, please don't start." It was always "don't start," like my pain was an argument. Then Amaka's calls increased. At first it was small. "Hi sis, hope you're okay. Hi sis, hope you're okay." But it started feeling too frequent, too forced. One evening, I was in the bedroom folding clothes when I heard Obi's phone ring in the living room. He wasn't around. I didn't plan to check. I swear I didn't. But something pushed me. I walked out and saw the name on the screen. Amaka. My chest tightened. Why was my sister calling my husband directly? I told myself maybe it was innocent. Maybe she wanted to ask about me. But deep inside, I knew. Because Madame Agnes was not just visiting again. She was smiling more. A dangerous kind of smile. The kind of smile people wear when they think they are winning.
And then the betrayal happened. In a way I will never forget. It was my father's remembrance service. A small family gathering, food, prayers, people pretending to be close. Madame Agnes sat beside my husband, laughing too hard at his jokes. Amaka sat across him, and every time Obi lifted his head, his eyes would find her. Not long, not obvious, just small glances. But the thing about betrayal is, once you are looking for it, you start seeing it everywhere. At one point, I got up to dish food. When I returned, I saw it. Obi's hand was on the back of Amaka's chair. Too familiar, too comfortable. Amaka turned slightly and their eyes met. And they shared something. A quick smile. Not a family smile. A secret smile. My throat closed. I felt like I was watching my life from outside my body. Later that night, when we got home, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Obi, I said quietly. What is going on? He didn't even remove his shoes properly. What do you mean? He snapped. You've been distant. You've been hiding your phone. You're always working late. He laughed once. Short and ugly. You are paranoid, Ifeoma. Paranoid. That word landed like a stone in my chest. I stepped closer. My voice shook. Are you cheating on me? Obi's face changed. Not shock, not anger, fear. The kind of fear that shows when someone knows you're close to the truth. He grabbed his phone, walked into the bedroom and shut the door. Bang. Just like that. He shut me out in my own house. I stood outside that door, feeling my whole world tilt. And as I stood there, my phone buzzed. A message from Amaka. Hi sis, hope you got home safe. That's when I knew. This wasn't just a feeling. This was a plan. And Madame Agnes had been building it since childhood. Because to her, I was never the daughter. I was the obstacle. The truth would finally show itself. Not in words, not in rumors, but in blood. Because the next thing I would hear would destroy me completely. The first thing that broke me wasn't the pregnancy. It was where I found out. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't suspicious that night. I was just tired. Obi fell asleep with his phone on the bed, face up. That never happened before. I stared at the ceiling for a long time, listening to him breathe. Then his phone lit up. A message preview popped on the screen. Amaka, I'm late. I think we should talk. My heart didn't race. It dropped. I picked up the phone with shaking hands. The fingerprint worked. Mine was still saved. I didn't open messages. I opened photos. The first picture loaded slowly. It was Amaka. In my guest room, on my bed, she was wearing Obi's shirt, smiling like she belonged there. I scrolled. Another picture, her back, bare, same bed sheets, same wall crack I had been meaning to fix. Then, videos, short ones, careless ones. I heard Obi's voice, low, familiar, saying her name. I heard Amaka laugh. I dropped the phone. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I felt empty, like something had been removed from my chest. I put the phone back exactly where it was. I lay down. I stared at the ceiling until morning. In the morning, Obi woke up and acted normal. That scared me more than anything. He kissed my forehead, called me my love, asked what I wanted for breakfast. I watched him like I didn't know him. Later that day, Madame Agnes came over. She didn't greet me properly. She went straight to the sofa and sat. Amaka came in after her. She looked nervous, not guilty, nervous. Madame Agnes cleared her throat. Ifeoma, she said, we need to talk. I knew then. She didn't even try to hide it. Amaka is pregnant. The room went quiet. I looked at Obi. He didn't look back. I laughed once. A short sound. For who? I asked. Nobody answered. My ears started ringing. Say it. For who? Amaka started crying. Madame Agnes said it like she was announcing food for Obi.
That was it. That was the moment my life split in two. I stood up slowly and said, "So all those years, this was the plan?" Madam Agnes sighed. "You couldn't give him a child. What did you expect?" I turned to Obi. "You slept with my sister." He started crying. He said stress. He said pressure. He said it just happened. I slapped him. I had never hit anyone in my life. I packed his things that same day. He begged. He knelt. He said it was a mistake. Mistakes don't last months. Mistakes don't have pictures. Amaka tried to talk to me. She said she didn't mean it. She said their mother pushed her. I told her something simple. You are jealous of me your whole life. This was your chance. She didn't deny it. Obi moved out. 2 months later, they got married quietly. Madam Agnes was proud. People told me to forgive. They said I was bitter. They said I should move on. But here's the scary part. They didn't win. The marriage didn't last. Obi cheated again. This time, Amaka was the wife. Madam Agnes got sick. Nobody took care of her. And me, I left. New city, new job, new life. I don't talk to them anymore. Some nights, I still remember the pictures. But I sleep better now because the scariest thing wasn't losing my husband. It was realizing that the people who raised you can plan your destruction quietly and smile at you while doing it. If you are listening to this and something feels off in your life, trust yourself. Sometimes the danger is already in the room with you and you're not crazy for feeling it. If this story touched you, unsettled you, or reminded you of something you've seen or lived through, please share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. Kindly like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share so more people can hear these real African stories. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next story.